It's a Monday, September 19th, 2022, and I'm doing a video. Why am I doing a video? I don't I don't really know. My wife thinks I should be a YouTuber, and so I am doing YouTube. I'm not doing YouTube. So, what is this channel for and about? Well, the name of my channel is, or my profile name is Someone's Dad. It used to be Happy Historian. I changed it because I've always liked the joke. You know, the old joke. You look like someone's dad, or you sound like someone's dad. Um, yeah, I mean, so I am a millennial, technically, which means that uh, we're the butt of jokes going back a decade, maybe a little more, which is weird because I'm almost 40. My wife is 40. She's a millennial. Um, but I think, somewhere along the line, older people, older people older than me, got the idea that a millennial was somehow a teenager. And the truth is that Gen Z is coming into adulthood. I mean, some of them are adults, um, and millennials haven't been kids for a long time. Um, so millennials were. I remember when we were kids, we were called Generation Y. Like 20 years ago, nobody was called a millennial. We got called Gen Y, kids these days, etc. Just all the stuff. And we were kind of called Gen Y for two reasons. One was we were the generation after Gen X, and two was the joke that all we did was ever say why when our parents told us to do something. So yeah, I'm almost 40. I'm a millennial, and um, yeah, I'm 3 years past being old enough to be president of the United States. It's kind of nuts until you think about uh, why that was written as it was when it was in the U.S. Constitution. 35 was a mature man. You were, I mean, if you could be, you could have done anything. I mean, when the revolution broke out, um, John Hancock, who everybody knows is most famous for having the biggest signature on the Declaration of Independence, he's one of the wealthiest men in America. And I think he was about 28 at the time, um, if not the wealthiest man in America. He was highly accomplished. Well, highly accomplished, but also part of a family empire. So, um, 35, 300 years ago wasn't vastly different than 35 today, but it was pretty different. I mean, so being almost 40 and being a dad of a 10-year-old, I thought Someone's Dad might be a kind of a funny name and a worthwhile name to cultivate. Um, slightly, slightly justified by another channel that I follow, Dylan Talks Tone. During one of their live chats, his wife finding my YouTube handle hilarious, because it is. I mean, once you get to a certain age, being quote unquote someone's dad's a funny joke, and you don't mind it. Like, jokes on you being someone's dad's awesome. You know, do all the dad stuff. You turn off lights in rooms that nobody's in, and you watch the thermostat, and you're worried about making sure the grass stays mowed all the time, and it's a weird thing as you start to get a little older to think about the fact that you don't necessarily think of yourself as different or old or anything like that. But then you start to think about um, parallels in like your parents and your grandparents' lives, and think about, like, when I think about how old, first time I ever remembered finding out how old my grandmother was, um, she was 54. I mean, I was a kid, a little kid, so uh, when you think, wow, 54 is not that far off, people who were teenagers when I was a little kid are getting pretty close to that now. You're like, wow, my grandparents weren't that old when I was a kid, but I thought of them as old. Um, this is the stuff we all do. You know, as we get older, we think about where our lives are, where we've been, where we're going, and it's fun. It's it's not bad. It's not good. It's kind of neutral. It can be good. It can be bad. If you think about it in the wrong way, if you think, "Oh man, I'm getting old," well, yeah, of course you are. Every day of your life, you're getting older, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what life is. That is the definition of life. Whether you're a mayfly that lives for a day or a human that lives for a century, every moment of time, at least Earth time, ticking by, you're getting older. But this channel, I've been trying to figure out what to make of it exactly, what to do with it, what should its theme be. Um, Part of the reason my wife thinks I should do this and would be good at it, I don't know that I'll be good at it, but that I should do it, is that I like to expound at length about whatever. My topics aren't always interesting to anybody but me, but um, I like to talk about them. If I think about the idea of my grandparents having a vlog, man, I wish they had A, the technology, and B, the time, and C, the motivation to do something like that, because I have memories of them. We all have memories of people in our lives. Some we want to remember, some we don't. Um, but I wish I could look back on their lives. I remember the last few years of my grandparents' life, and we lost my granddaddy last year and my grandmother 2 years ago. Um, I don't live in the same city they lived in anymore, where I was born, Savannah, Georgia. Um, I live 5 hours away from them, so I wasn't able to be around them as much in their last few years. But anytime I spent a fair amount of time asking them about their lives and about the way they grew up, things the way they used to be at various points. And that stuff is important to know. Like, we have amazing historical records now. We have for a few centuries, couple centuries, but famously, in fact, during the Depression, one of the projects of some government project was to send people out to document people's stories and things like that. And um, having that is far more valuable than merely having dates on a page and various large markers of history. And so I spent a lot of time trying to find out, what their lives were like, what happened here, there, and at various points. And so I think that vlogging, podcasting, recording, whatever, any way that you record history, even if it's the small history of small people, it's valuable. It's important. It helps us to understand ourselves and where we came from. It can help us not to repeat mistakes. It can help us to it can help us to know things that have been lost. One of the most famous book series in the world that is invaluable from a cultural perspective are the Firefox books. Um, they are a series of books about life in Appalachia, in mostly done in the 70s, but they went out and got not only the stories but the processes and things of how people's lives went day in and day out up in the mountains, the southern mountains, uh, North Carolina, Tennessee, North Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky. Not really. I mean, Kentucky's got a little bit of mountains, but um, documenting real life is important. It's not, might not be interesting to you depending on the subject, but it is valuable. So today, what am I doing with this day off that I have on a Monday? I'm doing something very important to me that's not so important to folks around where I live. I live 5 hours from where I grew up on the Georgia coast, and um, we ate a lot of boiled peanuts. Where I live, green peanuts are hard to come by. And by green, I mean fresh peanuts that haven't been dried or roasted or anything like that. And so I was in the grocery store a little while ago getting ingredients for supper, and they had bags of peanuts for $5, green peanuts. So I bought 3 of them. I mean, it was like 2 or 3 pounds per bag, and I got 10 pounds of peanuts, and I've got them boiling right now. Which boiled peanuts, when I was growing up, you could say delicacy, but we ate them so often that they were commonplace, but it was so good that it didn't matter, that it was common. And most people like boiled peanuts. My daughter loves them. She didn't grow up around them, as in they weren't there every Saturday watching football. But anytime we can get them, we get them, and she loves them. And so boiling some peanuts today. Ground nuts, peanuts, goobers, whatever you want to call them, they have become a mainstay not only in the American diet but in the South. Obviously, America mostly eats peanuts roasted or as peanut butter, mainly, to a large extent thanks to the work of George Washington Carver. But they are important in the South. They're a big deal, especially when you get down below the fall line to flat land and sandy soil where you can grow peanuts, and they're a big deal. Georgia has always been known for growing the 3 P's: peanuts, peaches, and pecans. Some people are going to say it's pronounced pecans. I don't care. One lady, it's always been the joke, right, that pecans are in the front yard, the pecan is in the backyard. And the last person that said that to me, I said, well, I eat pecans, and we use a commode, meaning a toilet. that was kind of the joke. It was the way you pronounce how a certain tree nut is said. The way you pronounce it is not important, but it can be a way to separate people by, those people pronounce it this way, therefore they are not like us. They are less cultivated. They are less sophisticated. I don't care how you say it. You say pecan, fine. You say pecan, fine. You say pecan. That's a weird one that I hear around where we live now. Sometimes pecan. You don't hear pecan much, but I'm sure somebody says it that way somewhere. But anyway, I'm boiling peanuts. Normally I'm off on Tuesdays. If I'm going to continue this, the videos will probably be recorded on Tuesday. I don't know exactly when they'll be released, if I have to do any editing or anything. Right now I'm just using my phone. I know what's required for a YouTube vlogging rig, but at this moment I don't particularly want to spend the money on that. I have a lot of hobbies. I have too many hobbies, in fact. I love books. You might not think of that as a hobby, but it absolutely is to somebody who loves books. I love playing mainly guitar, but less broadly speaking music in general, of making music. I've been playing guitar for quite a long time, and that might feature occasionally, the subject of guitar itself. But I also love to play. We always had a piano somewhere in either my house, my grandparents' house, when I was growing up, or a keyboard or something. I like to play mandolin a lot, but music is very important to me. Other hobbies I love, well, traditionally I loved guns, but I've owned so many guns that they're pretty boring now. It's not that I don't like them anymore. It's just that they're not interesting, because I've owned a lot, not just for shooting, but also as mechanical devices that I've taken apart, looked at, that I like a lot, but they've gotten kind of boring. But now it's mainly flintlock muzzle loaders. Flintlocks are still interesting. Not only do they have a mystique that's distinctly American, I'm looking away at a couple of them hanging on my wall, but they're also far more complicated than modern guns. So much goes into the building of a quality flintlock muzzleloader that doesn't necessarily have to go into a modern gun. So I've got that, muzzleloading, hunting, fishing. I like to do all of these things. There's so much stuff. I like to maintain my yard, my property, my garden. I have a garden plot that I installed in our semi-urban. I mean, we live in a city, but it's a tiny southern city. So I have a garden in the backyard that we try to keep things growing in most of the year. But we also have, for anyone who's not American, garden might mean the yard, but in America we call it the yard, which goes, its root is the same word as garden, old Norse and Saxon word, yard, guard, garden. So the yard, which is to say the grass and stuff, but also we have a front garden with various plants, herbs, things, flowering plants that I love to maintain. We have pecan trees. We have a nice little house and yard that I love to work on. It's an old house, 100 years old, a little older than that now. But I have a lot to do all the time. I don't know why anybody would find that very interesting, but if you do, that's awesome. I appreciate it. If you don't, no worries. Just, nobody's going to make you watch my videos or anything like that. So I'm going to make videos from time to time, I think, and they might focus on some of my hobbies. They might just be whatever, rants about this and that. Hopefully not too much ranting. But anyway, I think that'll about do it for today. So, hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you next time.